The Minnesota Timberwolves have huge problems on the defensive end right now. They're without Anthony Edwards through injury, they have no real playable point guards, and their young players either can't get on the floor or can't make an impact when they do, and yet none of those issues compare to their defense, which is threatening to become their downfall if they don't fix it soon. It's only been 5 games so far, but they're allowing 121.5 points per 100 possessions, giving them the 3rd worst defensive rating in the league. It's still that really small sample size, but as of right now they're one of the worst defenses in basketball, and that's been the foundation of their terrible start to the season. So I think it's worth diving into what is going wrong for them defensively right now, because it is a bunch of things. The easy place to start is that the minutes when Rudy Gobert is off the floor have been an absolute mess. They currently allow 135.8 points per 100 against them when Gobert sits, which is about 15 or so points per 100 worse than the worst defense in the league last season. Schematically, it just doesn't work having 2 undersized and bad defenders on the court in Naz Reid and Julius Randle when Gobert's not out there. So they've tried a bunch of different things. When they try and switch on-ball screens by having Reid come up here and take the ball, he's just getting smoked by guards consistently, and there's no rim protection behind him when he does. We've almost seen them start to shelve this concept already because teams want to force that switch with Reid and then take him off the bounce. That's been a very easy source of points all season long for Minnesota's opponents. Randle has held up a little better on switches, but still not very well. Side pick and roll here, DiVincenzo gets flatlined by the screen, Reid is in help position behind him, but Randle refuses to commit to the switch, and Hardaway walks into an uncontested baseline jumper. So that's just been a constant theme in all 5 games so far. If they try to play switch defense without Gobert on the floor, they get cooked in unholy ways over and over again. So we've seen them trying to play a little bit more drop coverage instead. The problem is that neither of them are good playing the ball and the roll man in this position, so they allow these huge pockets of space while the other is often late on that low man rotation. If both bigs aren't doing their job in that drop coverage, it's just not going to work. Again, Randle is in that drop here, but when Brown starts to get downhill, he doesn't engage at all, and then Reid isn't shifting over to make the low man rotation either. So they're not going to defend pick and rolls well, and that's already a massive issue, and then it only gets worse. Because if the pair of them are just in team defense concepts, they're completely and consistently lost. They're either getting beaten by cuts, failing to defend the rim, or just generally forgetting that they have defensive duties. This pairing could get 20% better and still be one of the worst defensive frontcourts in the league right now. That's a problem that honestly is beginning to feel unsolvable. Now, the really concerning thing is that this is just the tip of the iceberg. It's not just the non-Gobert minutes that are a massive problem for Minnesota. I mean, you could point to Gobert himself. At some point, he's got to start making these rotations again and affecting these shots, because while they're much better with him on the floor, if he's not shifting over in this position, he's not providing enough value as a rim protector to outweigh his massive offensive issues. If Minnesota are going to improve defensively, it's going to be with Gobert on the floor, but him not making interior rotations as quick or as effective as he used to has become a minor theme of the season so far. Again, that's a personnel thing that needs to be ironed out pretty sharply, but there's a couple of schematic things that are misfiring so badly right now that I'm just not sure Minnesota can survive it going on much longer. I think the number one thing going wrong right now is Minnesota's switch concepts and switch execution as a team. I'm talking about basic, every possession, who takes the ball here and who takes the screener here switches that the best defenses do in their sleep. They're consistently a step slow on communication and execution on these possessions. So when DiVincenzo, who might be the worst culprit of this, is coming up here, they have to know whether he is switching onto the ball or if Shannon is fighting over to stay with it. Getting caught in this position, flat-footed and behind the play, isn't an option because it forces Gobert to play 2-on-1 in the paint, and that's a tough place to defend from. There's been an alarming amount of these examples already this season. Again here, is Dillingham switching up onto Murray? Is Randall going to switch up onto Murray? Or is the plan for both of them to watch on as McDaniels fights through 4 bodies to try and contest a wide open 3? This confusion is turning really simple offensive actions into really easy points. Like, this is a standard wing handoff. Is Randall fighting through or is Conley switching up? They both don't know, and that turns into a practice shot. Minnesota had problems in the non-Gobert minutes last season, but they were still a good defense because you can survive one part of a defense lacking if you're sharp with your communication and your concepts. This team is sloppy with both right now, and it's making them really easy to play against. I feel like at some point, when Luka Doncic has 1 billion points in the first quarter, someone has to call out this switching coverage because it does feel unwise to let him walk into wide open 3s. So that's a must-fix schematic problem right now, and so is their corner help concepts. It's just far too aggressive and too often far too aggressive at the wrong times. Sometimes it's something simple like Anthony Edwards helping off the strong side corner here, despite having Gobert sitting in the drop and McDaniels behind him. That's a cardinal sin defensively and an easy way to give up an open corner 3. And these are game plan mistakes and they're happening way too often. Again, when Reeves hits the roller here, Gobert is the low man rotating over, and Conley is helping the helper on the backside, so DiVincenzo should never leave this corner to help when they have that structure in place. They have to be smarter on possessions like this. If Reeves is coming downhill and Gobert is here covering the ball while McDaniels is lurking here as a better low man, this long rotation isn't necessary and makes that skip pass too easy of an option. Teams are shooting 48.6% from the corners against Minnesota so far this season. That's the 4th worst mark in the league, and their overcommittal on these help defense possessions is a major reason why. When you throw in the fact that they've been a terrible transition defense for years, and they simply don't match up well on fast breaks, or refuse to run back hard enough to match up with these faster, more aggressive teams, you get this witch's brew of awful defense that feels really tough to overcome right now. These are things that can be cleaned up, but with a bunch of either bad or out of form defenders on the roster, this feels like it might be an issue all season if they don't figure something out pretty soon. You might hate Minnesota's defense right now, but if you like this video, you can hit subscribe, hit like, or drop a comment below. And if you want more of Howls and Growls, check out the Worldwide Wolves podcast on YouTube and everywhere that you listen to podcasts. Thanks again for watching.